Andy, looking ahead, okay, you've seen the landscape of New England for a number of years now. What excites you most about these running communities that make up the New England fabric? Is it the sheer quantity? Is it that they're putting on more events? Is it the trail aspect?
Think that I think coming out of COVID, we saw another running boom. It had been probably 20, 30 years since we saw a boom. And what excites me is the number of new people getting involved in the sport and the reasons that they're getting involved, right? It's not about elite competition. It's about inclusivity. About joining something where they belong. The clubs are popping up as a result of that because of the boom. We're seeing so many new clubs and clubs are forming for different reasons, right? For elite runners, but also for trail runners and for people that want to run shorter distances, people that want to run marathons.
Okay, welcome back to the New England Endurance Podcast, where we celebrate the people, events, and companies who keep our endurance community thriving. I'm your host, Art Tripotsis, and today's guest represents a brand that's been part of New England running for well over a century. The brand I'm talking about is New Balance. They're headquartered in Boston, Mass., and they were founded in 1906. And they have a mission that goes beyond just footwear. It's to empower people through sport and craftsmanship to create positive change in communities around the world. New Balance employs over 10,000 people globally, and I think you're going to love this. They have several factories right here in New England. They have an entire made in the USA footwear line, which is incredible. I'm a manufacturing geek, in case you didn't know. Beyond the numbers and innovation, what really stands out is their investment in the running community, from supporting local races and charities to building meaningful relationships with runners at every level. I've heard it from several guests on this show. New Balance does a ton for this community. So today I'm excited to welcome Andy Downin, head of running community events and partnerships. He's been with the company since 2012, and he is a New England native, which we love. And he's an accomplished runner himself. He won the 1500 meter at the 2001 U.S. Outdoor Championships, and he's competed in multiple World Cross Country Championships. Andy, welcome to the show. We're super excited to have you here.
What an honor, Art. Thank you so much. Yeah. I appreciate you. I've listened to multiple podcasts of yours. And so, appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. I'd love to just start off, like, how did you personally get started working in the running community space, and what pulled you toward New Balance?
Wow. Yeah. I've been a runner since the 80s. I'm aging myself here, but mid 80s, I grew up in Duxbury, started running my freshman year, and I was kind of hooked from the beginning. Just was so different than all the team sports I did. It doesn't take very long for you to be a runner to see the benefits of mental health, physical health, well-being. So yeah, and so I was a runner and obviously wasn't involved in the community piece. And I think in the 90s, probably mid 90s, I was running professionally and kind of think, what do I do with some of my time? And I started working at a local running store. I was living in Madison, Wisconsin, and just got, how do I do more fun things with the store? How to get them involved in the community? And just started organizing a bunch of local races for youth. Just had some crazy fun ideas and started to integrate them into the store, and how to get more people involved in the store, and that was probably my introduction into it. And the owner of the store, Carl Harder, was just this great guy who allowed me the freedom to try new things.
Experiment a little bit?
And absolutely experiment. Yeah. And if I go back that 30 years, whatever, some of the things I tried were pretty off the wall, but still to this day, I think at New Balance, we're still pushing ourselves to do new things. And so fast forward to 2012, I worked on the Olympic trial. I was living in Eugene, Oregon, and I worked on the Olympic trials for track and field in 2012. I worked for the local organizing committee, and then got a call from an old friend who said, "Hey, would you ever want to move back to Boston and work for New Balance?" And right away, I was like, "Absolutely!" It was a brand that, first off, I wanted to move back to Boston for a while. My younger brother Matt ran for New Balance as an athlete, and I just loved the family values, the company. I loved everything about New Balance, and was excited to just get back to Boston and work for them.
I've heard that. I mean, I've heard the culture there is fantastic. I don't know if it's all smoke and mirrors, but I just hear I hear it's a great place to work. So, how do you view your role and your whole team's role at New Balance with regards to the broader New England running community?
I feel like we're gonna get some juicy questions here. Yeah, so I mean, I guess, you kind of touched on it. I think there's a ton of pride. Like our teams are not large. I think they think, oh, you go to these New Balance, you guys must have a team of like 100 people work. No, no, we're very small teams, but I will say we are very, very passionate about running. We're passionate about running. We're passionate about the brand. Running, I think you kind of mentioned it, was really at the core of who we are at New Balance, and so we really, really do try. We have people in the communities, and we have our pulse on what's going on, specifically in New England. It's our backyard, it's our home. We want to be inclusive. We want to be involved in as many things as we can and be authentic to the communities that we work with. So yeah, it's a complex relationship for sure. But there's a ton of passion in the team, and yeah, we're kind of always evolving the way we, specifically how we work in New England.
I mean, when we started the podcast, we had a goal to basically showcase all these organizations and clubs, whatever the discipline with regards to endurance sports. And as we got into it, I was shocked to discover how many running communities and clubs and these many organizations there are just in Massachusetts. Not, I mean, let alone New England. You've got, Somerville Roadrunners and Heartbreak and Meters for Leaders, like all these groups and TARC. Do you have like do you have this giant whiteboard in your office just like of all the
So
organizations?
yeah, it's funny. So Jasmine, we have a community lead in Boston. And so Jasmine's whole job is not really a whiteboard, but I will say people is a big part of this, and getting to know people, and obviously lining up values. I mean, that's, a big buzzword for us. So, but like the people piece is really important. So Jasmine, her whole job at New Balance is she shows up at community runs, she chats with folks. What's the vibe at the run? What's the vibe with the people? What's the vibe with the organizers? What's the run like? Is it lined up our values? Are people having a good time? Does it
Yeah,
feel like overly competitive, or does it feel like inclusive? And, and yeah, so and then she reports back, and that's how we build relationships with clubs. And we have official relationships, and then we have, yeah, I mean, we have a lot of clubs that we just, we'll send them some gear here or there. We'll show up, we'll buy them pizza, we'll buy them bagels for a morning run, whatever. So that's probably step one, I think, is that kind of like, let's get down grassroots and go to these clubs, and let's see what it's all about.
that's really cool. I mentioned in the introduction that I'm sort of a manufacturing geek. I had my own company for a number of years. We made stuff in Billerica, Mass. And you guys have 5 footwear factories in New England?
God, you're going to drill me with factory questions, aren't
I
you?
mean,
I know.
not many, but just, like,
I
where are these places?
Listen. It is, so the Davis family, that has been the primary owners of New Balance since 1972. The Maid story and is I will say is as important to the Davis family as anything that we do. So they are never ever going to pull out of that piece. It's so important to who we are as a business, who they are as a family. So yes, it's an extremely important to us as a brand. That first off, that we have factories made in the U.S., but also that they're based in New England.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it's something, you can go. It was really popular pre-COVID, and then it kind of died off a little bit. But we can actually, as associates, go into one of the factories up in Skowhegan, and you can spend a day at shoe school, and you can build a shoe, and so you can see
Wow.
everything that. Yeah, see, you would love this. I can already tell. You go in and you spend 2 days, and you basically they take you the whole process, and you actually build your own pair of shoes on the line, and then it comes out, and it's just to see how much goes into it is pretty incredible.
Yeah, so when I visit factories, it gives me sort of a deeper appreciation for how things are made. Was there anything that jumps out at you about how New Balance does things that's not proprietary that you can share with our listeners that's like, "Oh, wow, this is really cool that they do that?"
I mean, I know it's going to sound corporate and like really Andy, but like honestly, the craftsmanship that goes onto each pair is I mean, it's literally people are using their hands to build the product. That's
Wow.
craftsmanship at its finest. You get a little bit blown away. The amount, just the quantity they have to produce, and then with the amount of detail that goes into it. I would say those are probably the biggest things.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to take a visit. All right, we'll get back to your expertise here. So, okay, so when I think of all the people we've interviewed and all the events that go on, I mean, do you guys have a list of events? I was wondering if you could share with our audience that are core to New Balance, where you support either you put them on yourself or you're one of the title sponsors.
Here's the thing, I kind of mentioned it with the club piece. I think there's different layers of partnership for sure, right? There's official partnerships and then there's unofficial partnerships. There's large global ones that we have with like New York Roadrunners. And then we have a partnership with like Endorphins Run Club, which is national across like 13, 14 cities. The same is true of events. We certainly have, local events like the Run to Home Base, and we partner with a lot of different events. And then I will say we also have like what we would consider to be owned events, things like New Balance Nationals, which is the high school
Mhm.
national championships for track and field, which is hosted at the track at New Balance, which brings, the best 6,000 track and field athletes to Boston, to the New Balance campus, so they can see how great the city is and everything. And then I'll say things like the New Balance Marathon Relay, which happens Boston Marathon weekend. Again, another kind of owned event, which gives people a chance to come to the New Balance campus and experience the track. Like, I'm assuming, Art, you've never run like on the track at New Balance, right? So
No,
this, yeah,
I'd love to hear about that because I went there for a basketball tournament of all things, and someone gave me a tour of the facility. But what is it, like about 10 years old now? Or can you tell us about that track?
the track at New Balance was opened in 2022. So no, not definitely not 10 years. Although in
Wow.
my brain it feels that way. It's what 450,000 square feet. It seats 5,000 spectators. It's pretty unique. You talk about basketball. It has a 24,000 square foot warm up area, which, as far as I know, no indoor track in the world has. But it also has a fully retractable artificial turf that when you flatten, so the track's on hydraulics, you can lower the track in about a minute, and then you can pull a fully retractable artificial turf out over the entire track surface and have a full size soccer or football or lacrosse artificial turf field. And then you can also lay basketball panels down and have multiple basketball courts. The Celtics take over the entire building for about 8, 9 weeks over the summer and host camps on it. So it's multi-purpose. It's not just a track facility. You can do basketball, soccer, lacrosse, and of course, track and field in the winter.
Wow, we're so lucky to have that in the Boston area. It's
you know,
crazy.
we have so many great tracks, BU and the Reggie Lewis Center, and Harvard has got a great track, and there's a bunch of flat tracks as well. And everybody thought, do we really need another track? I can tell you right now that it has not taken away, that it has just added to the tracks. And we have over 80 track meets that happen there from December
Wow.
1st through March. If you do the math on that, that's a lot of track meets. And yet it has not hurt the business over at Reggie Lewis and BU and all the other tracks that want to host events as well.
I sort of jumped over this event you just talked about, but I'm really kind of intrigued by it. When you said marathon relay, what is that all about?
Yeah, so go back to my 30 years ago when I would have these crazy ideas, and the owner of the store would let me do it. We kind of thought, let's do Boston Marathon is a high energy point for Bostonians for sure, people in Massachusetts. And we kind of thought, how do we give people a chance to come experience the New Balance campus, but specifically the track at New Balance? And could we build something that wasn't specific to track and field athletes, to high school runners, collegiate runners, even like the Battle Road track clubs, which run a lot of track races? How could we get everyday runners to experience the track? And we came up with this idea of like, let's do a marathon relay at the track, Boston Marathon weekend,
Wow.
feed off the energy of the marathon, but host this 2 days before. So we hosted 2 days before the marathon on that Saturday at the track. Invite about 25 teams. It is 100% focused on run clubs, run communities. It is not a like, oh, we're trying to set the world record. This is just an inclusive, fun, really a party. And the other idea was I wanted to host a DJ and a party, kind of like a Saturday market on the infield of the track. And so I brought the idea and I said, well, how are you going to get everybody on and off the track? I said, well, I'm going to build a bridge over the track. And so people can come and go and you can stand up on the bridge. And so that's
That's
what we
cool.
did. We built the bridge. We had a beer garden. We had local food vendors. And then we had the marathon relay going on the track itself. And it was incredibly, incredibly popular. And yeah, we're looking to grow it. We're going to do it again this year.
Wow, there must be a wait list for that. That sounds really awesome.
I will say the number one issue we have is that it was too popular. It's like we probably could have hosted, 4 times as many teams and 4 times as many people. Yeah, so that's our biggest problem is just yeah, we wish it could be bigger. We wish we could let everybody in. So
Have you guys had anybody approach you in the form of the running community, whether it's an event director or just a team that said, "Hey, my event's like really struggling. Could you help us with some support?" Have you guys come in and rescued any events that we're not aware of?
rescued them. I don't rescue is probably not a good way to describe, right? I mean, I will say that I'm not going to get specific enough for sure. I'm not, but like any partner that comes in specifically on the event side, we're looking at building a long-term relationship with. I mean, I don't think we're looking to just like, dig somebody out for a year and be like, hey,
Yeah.
great. Thanks. Here's a little bit of cash. I mean, I think we're looking to build a long-term relationship with anybody that we partner with. Event, I would say put up as at the highest tier. We're looking for groups that have like shared core values.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do we like again, like Jasmine's at those run clubs, we'll might send her out to an event and she come back and say, "Oh my God, I went to this event and this is what they did." And I mean, shared value and I've already mentioned it, but it's just the people. If do we vibe with the people that put it on? Do we vibe with the attendees that go to the event? Those are the biggest things. Yeah, I mean, what we're
Yeah.
looking for specifically with an event.
What does your team do, like, sort of leading up to a race or an event, like, in the coming weeks or so? Are we actually doing event planning, or is it more like providing product, or what are you guys doing?
I would say all the above. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the event. I mean, some events are very self-sufficient. Yeah, we might be product folks, we might be, but and some are less than that. Some we're all hands on. Yes, we're everybody on my team and on our teams are very much event planners, probably at their core.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they could step in and organize a fairly large event on their own. So yeah, it depends on the event and what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish, what our partnership is, and how we can help them. I would say when I look at us coming in, we're bringing resources, and that's not just financial, it's also human resources, right? So we're
Mhm.
bringing bodies that can help. We're bringing a little bit of expertise, like 20 plus years of running event experience. So we're giving them as much expertise as we possibly can. And I think, visibility to their event as well is probably what we're bringing. So local events do a lot of things really, really well. I think large brands can, especially New Balance, can bring a lot more visibility to their event.
Yeah. Do you find yourself personally going out to some of these events as well?
I do. Yeah, I go to a lot of events. I would say as much, probably more personally than I do work related, although
Yeah.
it very much, since most of us are runners, you know, at, at our core, it's like it does blend together a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have been to many, many track meets. I mean, my daughter runs high school track, so I go to a lot of track meets. And then I'll see people there who are working specifically for New Balance or for a partner like Marathon Sports, and I'll chat with them about, so it blends together a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
the high school event you talked about, the indoor track, I mean, is that one of those events where you kinda sit back and you're like, "Oh my god, this is why I do this?"
The 1,000%, 1,000%. And my bosses know it too. They're like, okay, well, this, but and I tell them, I'm like, I would just do this for the rest of my life. I mean, I get in a sport that I love. And now my whole thing is how do we build a premium experience and make it the greatest high school track meet on the planet?
When does this take place?
4 days at the track in New Balance, March 12th through 15th. Yeah,
Awesome.
it brings the 6,000 best. high school track and field athletes in the country together. We crown national champions. We shoot off fireworks in the building. I shut the lights off.
What?
Yeah, we try and push some boundaries and show people a good time.
That's so cool.
You've
Love
never
all of
been,
that.
huh?
No, I've never been.
Okay. Well, you should come. Yeah, you should definitely come.
I would be remiss if I did not ask you a couple of questions about the shoes.
Gosh. Okay.
I
Shoes.
mean
Let's go. Yeah. Absolutely. That is what we do.
I mean,
And apparel. And apparel. Don't get me in trouble with the apparel team. Yeah.
does your team ever come back from any of these events? Like, do you influence the design team with anything that you guys experience?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. Every big event that we have, we host, focus groups. Specifically New Balance Nationals, I'll have probably 4 to 5 different focus groups for footwear and apparel. We'll bring in designers and we'll bring in different teams from around the country. They'll ask specific questions and at
Wow.
all these, I will say we are affecting future product. Yeah. I mean,
So was
that's partially why we do this, right? Is we want to hear directly on, I mean, we are trying to sell product,
I mean,
indirectly here. So yeah.
could you share about a time like in one of these focus groups where maybe an athlete or a series of athletes like really influence a shoe design? Like,
I
is there
will
anything that's
say at that level, it happens much quicker with the elite athletes with Team NB, you
oh,
know,
okay.
where you might get, let's say, an Emily Sisson, the American record holder in the marathon, right? She might give direct feedback on one of the racing shoes, like, and that will literally go into effect almost instantaneous. They'll make that shift, and then and they'll make a shift as quick as you can. Probably less quick to happen, with feedback coming from a 16-year-old, although just as important, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You might get more color trends, you might get more design trends from a high school kid. So I think it depends on who you're getting that feedback from.
So Andy, looking ahead, okay, you've seen the landscape of New England for a number of years now. Like, what excites you most about these running communities that make up the New England fabric? Is it the sheer quantity? Is it that they're putting on more events? Is it the trail aspect? A lot of trail folks? Like, what excites you about the future?
Think that I think coming out of COVID, we saw another running boom. It had been probably 20, 30 years since we saw a boom. And what excites me is the number of new people getting involved in the sport and the reasons that they're getting involved, right? It's not about elite competition. It's about inclusivity. About joining something where they belong. It's about benefits of mental health. So that boom to me is the most exciting piece. It's new people getting involved in the sport that I love, and all the things that I've known for so long. Those individuals are seeing those same benefits. The clubs are popping up as a result of that because of the boom. We're seeing so many new clubs, and clubs are forming for different reasons, right? For elite runners, but also for trail runners and for people that want to run shorter distances, people that want to run marathons, the battle road track clubs that want to they want to run on the track. They want to do track races, but they want to be a part of a group when they do it. Yeah, so I think that boom and that energy that exists in the sport is at an all-time high. I mean, we're seeing, entry to, the London marathons and the Boston marathons and the, TCS New York City marathons and Chicago is at an all-time high. Sadly, that means that the acceptance rate is at an all-time low, meaning the
Yeah.
percentages are so low, it's almost impossible to get into those. You could see that as a negative. I think, again, it shows the health of the sport of running and the energy that's in the sport of running right now.
Yeah, I mean, just anecdotally, I've been riding this bike path called the Minuteman Bike Path, and goes from Arlington out to Bedford for God 25 years now, and there's a ton more runners out. There's a lot more folks getting off of the main paved part of the trail and doing more trail stuff as well, which is pretty cool. And just a number of folks that like we get feedback on at this podcast about these hidden gem events that are popping up everywhere. And I was wondering, is there any hidden gem running event in New England that you're like, wow, this is really cool?
I'm an old school. I'm a classic guy. One of my first races I ever did was the Falmouth Road Race. To me, it's the quintessential New England race. My wife loves, and my daughter now do the Brew Run, which is in Brewster the week before the Falmouth Road Race. Cape Cod, so yeah, Brewster just an hour up the road from Falmouth. It's always the week before. Again, very quintessential, like New England summer, Cape Cod, smaller than like the Falmouth Road Race, but that great kind of community feel at the end. But oh my God, there's a million great ones out there. Yeah.
If there's anybody who's listening to this show that wants to partner with New Balance, is it your team that they would reach out to? And is there anything you would recommend to them before reaching out?
Yeah, there's a juicy one. Yeah, yeah, it's again, the boom now in running is real. The energy is real. Like, absolutely, yes. I mean, reach out. I mean, we can't partner with everybody. We are a small team. Of course, we can't do everything. We try and do fewer partnerships and do them as well as we possibly can. It makes me extremely proud for our team that you say people talk about how great New Balance is to work at and how great as partners you are in the running community and how you set a great example. So yes, we want to do those partnerships and do them as well as we possibly can. Yeah, and we're definitely, like I said, we're looking for groups that have similar core values,
Hmm.
people that want to build long-term partnerships and just great people to work with.
That's great. All right. So, no guarantees, people, if you're listening, but there's an opportunity. So, sort of winding down the podcast here, Andy, I just want to thank you for coming on. But is there anything that you'd like to tell us that maybe you didn't get a chance to mention about New Balance and what goes into supporting the running community?
We touched on a lot of topics. Yeah, again, I'm super appreciative. Yeah, I will say that the other thing, aside from, the culture and all those things, I am extremely proud of New Balance, the investment in Brighton specifically. I mean, the track at New Balance we talked about, we have the Warrior Ice Arena in Brighton Landing and the Arrowback, where the Celtics practice. So just the investment that New Balance has made to, all the sports in New England, I'm extremely, extremely proud of.
Do you have a favorite shoe,
Ooh, do I have a favorite shoe?
favorite model of
A
New
favorite
Balance?
model. Well, I mean, in the made realm, I have been known to wear a lot of 990s. That is about as classic New Balance as it gets. I run still about 2 to 3 days a week. I do run in the 990s, which I know
Really?
that's like probably the most cringy thing I could possibly say. But I also the Rebel to me is a newer shoe. I swear by that for events. It's light, it's very responsive. If I was 20 years younger and wanted to run much faster than I currently do, I would definitely run in the Rebel. So those are probably my two faves.
Awesome. Andy, thank you so much for your time today, and giving us sort of behind the scenes look at New Balance. And I really appreciate everything you and your company are doing for the community.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Art. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. And to our listeners, whether you're training for your first 5K or trying to get that BQ, remember that this sport is powered by the people, volunteers, and partners like New Balance in our community. So thanks for listening to the podcast. And until next time, we'll see you out on the road or the trails. Thank you.